spasm and loss of range of motion. Simply position release therapy unkinks and tissues as one would be knotted like a necklace. Okay, and by gently twisting and pushing the tissue together and taken off the knot. When the link of the chain is unkinked, other nearby tangles or the other chains which is being knotted, that also get relieved. Okay, so we will be seeing it elaborately afterwards. So PRT has been advocated by the term of acute, subacute, and chronic somatic dysfunctions of all ages. So we can treat it very easily in about almost in all cases. Let it be like acute, subacute, or chronic dysfunctions. Okay, and the credit of this particular for the development and discovery of this particular technique goes to Dr. Lawrence Jones in 1950s. He initiated in the name of positional release technique. After that, he coined the term as strain counter strain, and later on his contributions were being again researched by the different people, and again it is being recoined as positional release therapy. So Jones strongly based on the technique strain counter strain, an ivory neurological model is which this he cited the muscle spindle as the primary source of the joint dysfunction. So muscle spindles are defined as the sensory organs that are stimulated by lengthening or stretching of the muscles. Okay, the whole premise lies in the physiology or the neuromuscular physiology of the muscle spindles only. So they are suspected for the three primary reasons. Okay, the whole trigger point mechanism is based on muscle spindle only. The muscle spindles are found to exhibit sensitivity of stress placed on the musculoskeletal system. They do not exhibit the ability to adapt. Thus, this supply a continuous flow of input into the central nervous system. They have distinct influences on the muscle around the joint or segmental spinal level involved in somatic dysfunction. So here what happens, muscle spindles are basically governed by gamma motor neurons. So gamma motor neurons are directly connected with the spinal cord and by other order of neurons to the central nervous system. So in other words, it is being governed by the central nervous system only. So what happens over here when the spindles are activated and they are get sensitized? So what happens? They remain in the contracted position for a longer period of time. When they remain contracted, so they behave as the muscles are still in the contracted position, and it doesn't allows the stretching or the normal movement, and it doesn't allow the movement of the extra fusal fibers, and it doesn't for example, it doesn't give the room for the muscle to contract and relax again, so thereby developing the what you called as trigger point. Okay, and that trigger point is quite palpable and doesn't allow the movement to happen, and it affects the range of motion as well as it gives the radiating pain also to a somatic uh, portion of the body or dermatomes. Okay, so in order to form the foundation of the developing one's knowledge of the PRT as the treatment technique, it is important to understand the abnormal proprioceptive reflexes believed to be responsible for somatic dysfunction muscle spindles. Within muscles, there are two types of fibers which are present, that is extrafusal fibers and intrafusal fibers. And extrafusal fibers are the main contractile tissues of the muscles which are being supplied by alpha motor neuron, which serve as a main source of innervations for those extrafusal fibers. So these are basically the extrafusal fibers over here. Okay, in center line you can see these are known as intrafusal fibers. Now again, intrafusal fibers are having nuclear bags in the center line and nuclear chain at the length of it. So these nuclear chains and at the end of this intrafusal fibers, they are responsible for making the trigger points because they remain in contracted for a longer period of time and they are being supplied by alpha motor neuron. Sorry, gamma motor neurons from here. So intrafusal fibers are of two types as we discussed. Two different types are like nuclear bag and nuclear chain fibers. Nuclear bag fibers have centrally located nuclei and chain fibers have their nuclei arranged in a single row. So as the intrafusal fibers also have contractile proportions at each end. The muscle spindles are associated with intrafusal fibers. They function as specialized sensory receptors. Okay, and they are found throughout the extrafusal fibers and they run parallel to the muscle tissues. Okay, the intrafusal fibers are interconnected by a gamma motor system at their polar ends. The gamma impulses received by the intrafusal fibers causes their polar ends to contract, stretching the central region and firing the intrafusal fibers nerve endings. Both uses this gamma stimulation in the gamma motor system to reset the muscle spindles and spindle discharge at and its sensitivity to stretch. So basically what happens over here is it is the gamma muscle impulses which are responsible for maintaining the normal tone of the muscles. Okay, but when this the contraction of the muscle which is being overcome with the gamma motor impulses, then what happens, it remain in contracted position for a longer period of time. So it doesn't give the back impulses to the gamma motor neurons, and CNS doesn't understand that the muscle is in the contracted position for a longer period. Okay, so it again gives the uh, back uh, back information to the gamma motor neuron to contract again. So in resultant to that, the muscles remain in contracted position for a longer period of time, thereby producing the trigger point over it. Okay, the same thing has been explained over here. This means when the muscles with an increased muscle spindle sensitivity is stretched, the strength of the reflexive contraction produced by the muscle will be greater. Under typical relaxed condition, gamma output of the muscle spindle it is level and maintain normal muscle tone and sustain it with a state where it is prepared to act is called upon. Okay, that is actually that was I was telling you about the normal muscle tone. Okay. Now, what happened in abnormal one? Uh, this causes intramuscular fibers to tear, causing the muscle spindle output was a part of phenomenon he referred as autonomic gain control. Okay. He also proposed that in formation of process of somatic dysfunction. He hypothesized that when the muscle is suddenly shortened and sudden decrease is deprived of information about the current length of the condition. When the muscle that works slackened and then called upon the contracts nervous system greatly increases its gamma discharge to the intrafusal fibers. Okay, and this actually leads to the over contraction at the site of the spindle muscle fibers and by thereby forming the trigger point. So Jones along with his colleague supported the Course hypothesis. They used as a simple universal joint model to demonstrate these principles and describe the formation of somatic dysfunction. Okay, And now we come to the diagnosis part, like how to diagnose this particular thing, which is like how to diagnose a trigger. So the commonly used mnemonic for the diagnosis of somatic dysfunction is ART, that is ART. The A stands for asymmetry within the musculoskeletal system. And example of this may be the patient who presents with uneven iliac crest upon the palpation of the pelvic region. As we just observe on the back of the patient also, sometimes we find that the pelvis at one side is a little bit upper side and the other side is relatively lower side. So by observing also we can understand, okay, the which side is at asymmetry. Okay, and R stands for the range of motion. Whenever the trigger point is there in the muscles, obviously the affected, it affects the range of motion of that particular area. That can be due to pain, that can be due to muscle guarding, that can be due to uh, uh, the contracted state in which the muscle is, okay, due to spasm. An abnormality in the range of motion of any one joint of the several may indicate a somatic dysfunction. Okay, and the last is T. T stands for the tissue texture. Now this is most important thing. Tissue texture with the like if you examine for a longer period of time, you would be able to appreciate a nodule kind of a thing in the muscles. So those nodules kind of thing they are, and if it hurts the patient, and by seeing like with the texture of the tissue, we understand that that particular point is known as trigger point. So the ability to feel the change in tissue texture and the tension that are located at the site of what is identified as tender point. So these tender points have been cited as being a means of recognizing and diagnosing the presence of somatic dysfunctions. Tender points are often described as being tender, tense, and edematous areas of the tissues. Their size has been described as ranging from the smaller or near the size of the fingertip to around the size of a pea. Okay. They have been described as more specifically as being 1 centimeter or less in diameter, which they are typically found near the bony attachments to the tendon, ligament, and muscle bellies also. So if the examining practitioner is unable to find the tender points in one of the above described areas, however, it may be found at the dermatome of the area of greatest sensitivity, measuring about 3 millimeters. So one more thing which is most important while understanding the tissue texture, that is understanding of the fasciculation of the fibers. So whenever the area which is under tension or the area of the trigger point, if you find the exact area of the trigger point, you will find a kind of a fasciculations in that area. Fasciculations may also be described by they are being described by O. Abringio and Ruth's classification. It's upon the visual jump. As you just touch the muscles, the patient is about to like withdrawal kind of phenomena. So that is also known as jump sign. Okay, and whenever the tender point is being elicited, so this is being classified as extremely sensitive. Okay, and according to them, the description of the tender point sensitivity by describing the next level as being situation where the patient verbally responds to the point is very tender, where there is no presence of the above described jump sign. That is known as moderate one. Okay, when the jump sign is not there, but patient winks a little. Okay, just by seeing the expression of the patient, we can understand that this is quite hurting in it. So this is also known as fasciculations at the moderate level. And moderate and minimum level is also there. Like there is no jump sign, but still the patient feels the pain inside. Okay. So it is most important to understand that once we understand the art of this tissue texture assessment, it becomes very easy for us to precise a particular muscle, that this particular muscle is affected the most. And if we understand and assess that particular muscle, we can just with the help of positioning it properly and minimizing it for a 90 seconds, okay, and maintaining that particular position for 90 seconds, we can reduce the tenderness like anything, and at least 30% of it is going to be relieved. The basic steps of the treatment are as follows. Number one, identification of the significant tender points. Number two, positioning of the patient into the position of comfort, utilizing gross movement and fine tuning. Number three, maintenance of the established position of comfort for 90 seconds. Number four, slowly and passively returning the patient to the neutral position. And number five, re-examining the patient for the presence of tender point. Perfecting one's skill in these techniques is very important. Lack of as one of the major causes of inadequate results. So the first step is to utmost importance, that is identification of the tender point is the major means. Okay, as we have already discussed, a standard structural examination may be used for palpation to determine the presence of the tender points. Now that the therapist has identified the tender point, with which treatment is will begin, the most move to the next step, that is the treatment sequence, is obtaining the position of comfort. Okay, so obtaining the position of comfort, it is being given by the Jones very clearly. Okay, they have given uh, some principles regarding this thing. Basic principle of positioning are the important consider developing the treatment. So these are the basic principles which I'm going to tell you. Number one is the first principle states that the anterior tendon point will typically be treated in flexion. So whenever you are treating any anterior tender points which are present in anterior side of the body, so you all have to take the position of the muscle in flexion. Okay, since it is not a stretching positional release therapy is opposite of the stretching. This is one of the most important criteria. We always give the patient muscle or that particular muscle which has been diagnosed as sensitive. We have to bring the position in such a way that that particular muscles contraction or the contractile fibers are in contracted mode rather than stretch mode. Okay. Likewise, with the second principle, the posterior tender points are thus treated in extension. Okay, whatever the posterior side of the muscles are there, we all have to treat in a extension position. And depending on the posterior and anterior points, we will be treating more in pure flexion or more in extension respectively. Lastly, the farther the tender point is located laterally, the more side bending and rotation that will be added to the treatment position. Okay. So, for example, if anybody is having uh, pain, like for example in a lower thigh, so one has to position the patient in such a way that the whole trunk of that particular side is in side bending or side flexion position towards that side, so that the whole tissue will get relieved in that area, and then we start treating it for 90 seconds. So while in position, the position of the comfort of the tissue may be palpated uh, for what is referred to as release phenomena. Various, again, when the position of the treatment is achieved, at that time what happens? The most trigger point or the point of fasciculation, which we have observed, the point of fasciculation is being palpated between two fingers or the belly can be lifted up little bit, and you can just squeeze it very slowly. You can just squeeze it. Okay, the temperature of it is going to be like changing. Okay, and you would be seeing on the face of the patient also a relatively relaxed position will come. And you while palpating also, you will find that the trigger point is getting melted in your fingers. So once you will find it happening, you need to just keep it for 90 seconds and then release it slowly. Okay, this is the phenomenon. This is how we need to do it. And various changes represent this phenomena, including relaxation of the tissue being palpated, presence of pulsating and vibrating sensation, heat eliminating from that area, breathing pattern of the patient that is going to be changed, and heart rate, fasciculations of the motor activities over the eyes. You can see in the patients stop may to no longer be apparent. Okay, so are being achieved by you. Okay. Now, slowly returning the patient to the neutral position. It is most important thing. Like we need to put the patient again back to its normal or neutral position by us only. We are not supposed to tell the patient to come in the neutral position, because when the patient will come itself or himself in the same position again, then what will happen? The patient will the contraction of the muscle will again come into action. That is active contraction in that particular area, and that active contraction will again lead into the muscle spindle contraction, and again the patient will go into spasm. That particular muscle is going to be in a spasm, and again it is going to be in the same vicious circle. Okay, so that is why it is most important for the therapist to bring the position again back to the neutral position. Okay, and the reassessment of the tender point. It is most important to reassess what we have treated right now. Okay, because in osteopathy, according to principles of osteopathy, it gives a relief then and there only. If it doesn't give the relief then and there, then either your technique is not good, or it is not being given in a proper way. Okay, so we need to give it again or reassess the thing again and re-establish the assessment. Okay, so it is most important thing, or at least 30% of the original pain level. The treatment should be like when we can consider the treatment as significant only when the 30% of the pain reduction is achieved. Okay. And rescheduling the treatment. This is most important part. Rescheduling the treatment. Jones recommended that the patient wait at least 3 days, 3 days in between the treatment, so that no longer the 6 tender points to be treated at a time, not more than that. Okay, to help reduce likelihood of the post-treatment soreness. Once like most of the patient have lot of tenderness, especially in the posterior areas, but out of enthusiasm, what happens, the new therapist, what he does is he tries and treat each and every point of the tenderness, so that the whole treatment is being done in one day. But it should not be like that. We need to just examine the most tender points, and out of that we have to select only 5 to 6 points, and we have to just treat them at one sitting. Once that is resolved, then we should go for the other, so that the muscle soreness doesn't develop much. And we need to explain to the patient that whatever we are treating, whatever the muscle we are treating, still the soreness may come to that area also. Okay, so uh, we need to just resolve the soreness also at the same time. And we can call the patient twice a week or thrice a week also to our clinic, and just we can just treat the other points which are being involved. So here I come to the end of this basic understanding of positional release therapy. You may ask some questions if you want. If you have any doubt, please let me know about it.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much for your enlightening speech and for your kind words. And now we are open for the question answer session.
Yeah.
There is one query, sir. I will narrate for you. Someone
Yeah,
has written
please.
in between also.
Uh,
How to check from myotomes? I think it has been asked by
this,
Jay Shri Rai.
yeah. We can go by any mode of treatment or assessment part particularly. We can go with the myotomes also. We can go by dermatomes also, because most of the times when what happens, the sensory level, whenever the tissues are more sensitive, so at that time what we understand is like we need to understand the fasciculation part first of all, the sensitivity, the most sensitive part of area. So you can go by any way. You just need to like touch the exact tenderness of that area. You just need to get into that particular tissue. Okay, and that comes with an experience. When if you keep doing it, keep keep palpating for the trigger points, you would be able to reach it very easily. Okay. You can go by myotomes also, no problem. Because somatic dysfunction has its effect over myotomes. Yes, it does have. Because it involves the motor nerves as well as the sensory nerves. I hope I have made myself clear in this.
Yeah, sir. And one more query. I think
Mhm.
anybody if has any query, they can unmute themselves and then ask. That would be is it better? So there's one more question from Monica. Is it applicable
Okay.
for all the pain?
It
I
is
think
applicable for all somatosensory pains. Yes. But not for the pains which are coming from the soft tissues, which are like for example, it is not applicable for spleen, for stomach, for livers. These radiating kind of pains we cannot treat much with this. We have another techniques for those soft tissues. Okay, but yes, for the musculoskeletal pain, this technique is quite applicable. Yeah.
yeah, one more query is there from Mansi Jain.
Yeah.
So she want to ask that is PRT same as trigger point therapy?
Pardon, please.
Is PRT
PRT?
same as
Yeah.
trigger point therapy?
PRT is one of the therapy which is addressing the trigger point. Okay. It is easier form of treatment. You can easily deploy the things very easily on the patient in a lesser amount of time period. You can treat the patients. This is the basic pro it has. Okay. This is the pro point of it. You can always try with this. Otherwise you have a lot of other options also to treat the trigger points. But yeah, this is one of the major treatment technique which can be used by us, and it's quite safe also. It doesn't hurt the tissues much in comparison to other techniques like dry needling therapy and all. You need to understand the correct angulation of the inserting the dry needle. You need to have that particular experience or that much experience that you insert the right needle at right point only, isn't it? You have lot of ifs and buts in that, and patient should also give his consent regarding dry needlings and all. So it actually bypasses all those things very easily, and you can deploy the treatment quite easily. It is very much easily understandable by the patients also, that he has to put, or we just need to put the position in a very relieving position, and at the same time we just have to target the tender point, and it just release it then and there on. Yes.
So there is one more query, sir.
Yeah.
Again from Enas. He
Okay.
or she want to ask that is this same as myofascial release?
It is a bit different from official release. Here, what is happening? We are not stretching the tissues, and we are not putting the tissue in that particular transition where it leaks inside. Okay, uh, the tissue is not getting hurt. It's quite painless kind of a therapy. Okay, and myofascial at sometimes it hurts. It hurts in starting position. Yes.
So one more query, sir.
Yeah.
Is it has specific benefits, and can we get a quicker relief while using this PRT?
Yes, we get quicker relief. The patient appreciate this therapy a lot. If the patient has at least 30% of the relief at the first sitting only, when the patient and 30% pain relief is considered as quite significant, isn't it? You can just call the patient twice a week, which is very easy for the patient also to come. You can call the patient from the far away from your city also, and he would be able to come twice a week, isn't it? And you can deploy this particular technique in camp-based area also. Once you have treated the patient and the patient gets relieved by 30%, you can call them to your clinic afterwards. It's quite easy to convert the patient at your clinic also.
And
Yeah,
again, do we have the long-term effects of using the PRT, or it is for the short term only?
definitely it is going to give a relief for a longer period of time, because the main cause behind that somatic dysfunction is the muscle spindle. Okay, and that particular muscle spindle which is being contracted for a longer period of time. Okay, which is not been being registered by the CNS also sometimes, or rather most of the times. So what happens, it remains contracted for a longer period of time, and it forms a vicious kind of a circle over there. Okay, because of that the muscle dysfunction is there, and because of muscle dysfunction the person is in pain for a longer period of time. But once the cause of it is being removed, obviously the pain is removed. You can treat
So
muscle even the cases of fibrosis also to a certain extent.
yeah.
Yes, it gives a relief in that also. Not completely, but yes, to a certain extent, it can give a good relief.
So can we have an example of the positional release therapy? Any example of any pain anywhere?
Uh, I would like to give one example of the trapezius. Okay, while treating the upper fibers of the trapezius, you just have to bend the neck towards the same side. Okay, and then find the point of tenderness, which is most of the time we can find the tenderness at the midpoint of the just in line of clavicle, the 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 junction of the clavicle. Okay, the midpoint of the clavicle, you will find the tenderness there only most of the times. Okay, and just bend the neck towards that side, palpate it, and just palpate the tender area of that particular area, and just release it slowly. Once you will release, you will find that the the trigger point is melting in your hand or between the two fingers. Okay, and as you will see, within 90 seconds most of the pain gets relieved. I have seen myself. It's quite better technique to use.
Yeah. Um, one more question from Jiten sir, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is this work on the counter irritant as a counter irritant like in the presynaptic inhibition of pain or pain gate theory? Is this working on the pain gate theory or
It works on the pain gate theory also, because yes, you are using fingertips, you are using the touch therapy over it, isn't it? By touching only, the things are getting resolved over there. You are using pain gate theory, but not as a counter irritant. because you're not irritating the tissues, you're facilitating the tissues rather, and inhibiting the contracted positions.
Uh, Nainika is asking something. I think this question is already over. That should it be performed only once in one sitting? So I think it is about.
We need to call the patient for more number of visits, because if the patient the condition is chronic, obviously it again goes into the same position, then again you have to call the patient at least
Thrice
thrice to
weekly.
4 times you have to call the patient to your clinic, and I think most of the time it gets reduced. Yes.
One more question from Dr. Dhanjit. How many times do we practice in a particular area of session? I think it is the same like.
It depends on the patient also sometimes, but in my personal practice I found that even if we call the patient for 4 times, that's enough for him. We can resolve it.
Can routine exercises be followed after the PRT or along with PRT?
Of course, we have to provide, or we have to prescribe the correct form of exercises of that particular muscle so that it gets strengthened properly, so that these things should not come again over that area. Yes.
And one more query is that should we hold the same pressure till 90 seconds?
It is being advocated by Jones that we have to do it for 90 seconds, because he has treated so many patients, and he treated for 20 minutes also. He got the same result, and he started reducing the time period, and he came to it for the 90 seconds. Then he got the same kind of treatment what he was giving for the 20 minutes also. So he came with the fundamental funda of 90 seconds. But now the researcher who are like treating and who are doing the research on this particular thing, on the basis of like EMG, surface EMG, and intramedullary needling EMG, they have found out that till the fasciculation phenomena is not over, you can give this particular therapy. And it may go for 20 minutes, 40 minutes also sometimes. But the therapist should also have patience till then.
So one more query from Jiten sir is, have you come across any cases where the pain has been aggravated and condition is deteriorating after the treatment?
Uh, no question arises with these kind of cases, in particular this technique. Why? Because we are not putting the patient position in the pain aggravating conditions. Okay, we are putting the position of a particular limb in such a way, or the position of the patient trunk in such a way that the muscles are most in comfortable position. Okay, that is the beauty of this technique. There like 99% there are no chances of aggravating the pain, rather. I can say that.
So,
Once in a blue moon, you may find
yeah.
a patient like that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much for your so much
Thank you.
enlightening session. And we have a lot of query, means we were listening carefully.
Yes, yes. And I welcome more queries also at my, I have given my mail ID also over here. That is priyanshujoshi@gmail.com. You can do query at my mail
बाबा की
also.
जय हो.
Jai Ho Dada.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Menal,
Okay.
would you like to say something?
Dr. Manal.
Nee, he heard what I said.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. So, really thankful to you all that you have spared the time and you are being with us. Thanks for the queries. It makes the session more
And I would
interactive.
like to have a feedback. I would like to have a feedback of this particular lecture so that I can improvise myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Next.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. We are really grateful to you that You have spared the time for us. You have shared the precious knowledge with us. And we have a lot of learning today in this session. And we are also thankful to all the senior faculty members who are present here, like Kalpana ma'am, Menal sir, my own teachers, Charu ma'am, her sir, Smith ma'am,
Dr.
and
Rajdeep is there, Dr. Ritu
yeah,
Rajdeep
hers,
is there.
yeah. So
Yes.
we are really grateful to all.
I would
Yeah, yes, sir.
I
Please.
would like to say something. Hello, hello, hello. I
Yes, sir.
would like to
Yes.
say something.
Yes.
This is for junior practitioners. This was very wonderful lecture by Priyanshu. He's my batchmate, and you have to do these things in your practicals. Not is this ki you are attending these sessions in the lockdown period and this thing, but you have to practice it in your own. So that will be benefited for you.
Of course, one has to practice it because these are all manual techniques. Manual techniques can be mastered only when you are doing it on on several patients. Until and unless you don't do it for a longer period of time, like for example, understanding the tissue texture itself will take at least 20 to 30
because
patients.
because there are so many techniques, and Priyanshu which told these techniques are very effective, because I also practice that, and it is very wonderful technique. If you practice this, you will definitely get the result. So please don't listen the lecture, listen carefully and practice it. That is the main issue.
Yes, I believe.
Of course, sir. Thank you, sir. We will definitely try practicing the things, and we'll try to improve the practice also while doing the positional release therapy and all the things. And this is the only reason why we are trying to conduct such kind of webinars, and though we'll have some improvement in our daily
I
practices,
believe
and we'll have some
yes.
insight in the new things and whatever the different kind of practices are being done. So we are really grateful, sir, that we have so senior
Was quite
experienced
a
faculty
learning
members here.
experience for me also.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
So we'll definitely imply it in our practice, and we are really grateful to you that you spared the time. And we are really grateful to all the senior faculty members, Kalpana ma'am, Jiten sir,
Yeah,
and
I also give my heartful gratitude to all the senior members who have joined and listened to me very patiently. Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much.
So thankful to you, sir. And
Thank
before just before ending the session, there's an information that again tomorrow we have a good session
Okay.
on the pitfalls in statistical data analysis and the presentation. So it is a good topic. We'll have a insight into the statistical data analysis and the presentation, and it would be much more helpful for the researcher, PG students as well, and the UG student who are in the final year if they have to do some project work and something. So we'll be in touch tomorrow. Again, we'll have a session, and it has to be taken by the resource person, Dr. Suresh Mani sir. He is again associate professor there in the lovely professional university. So stay in touch. We'll meet again tomorrow at 9 p.m. for this session. And we are really grateful to you, the Priyanshu sir, that you have spared the time for us. And we really learned a lot, and we'll definitely try to practice as how many are the practitioners available. They are definitely try to imply in the practice because due to the COVID-19, I think there are less patients coming to the clinic, and it is a great opportunity. We can easily try the new things, and we'll get better practices unless we'll get out of the lockdown. So thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. And
you.
stay safe.
Good night, everyone.
Stay tuned. We'll meet tomorrow. Good night. Bye.